Hey YouTubers, today we're working on my 2010 Q5 and I'm working on the back brakes. This video is about doing the back brakes. More specifically, it has an electronic parking brake, and if you don't know how to work around it, then retracting the piston in the cylinder so that you could put the new pads on after the old ones have worn out is really tricky. So that's what this video is about. As usual, if you like my videos, click like so I know to make more of the same, and if you want to see more when I post them, hit subscribe so that I'll know and you'll know when I make more videos. So let's get right into it. I'm going to show you guys how to do it. It's really simple. You need basic tools, a set of torques, ratchets, sockets, stuff like that, but you also need triple squares. If you own an Audi or Volkswagen and you plan on doing any work on it yourself, you know, from the simplest jobs, you want to invest in a nice set of triple squares. I think these were like 25 bucks at a parts store. You might be able to get them a little bit cheaper if you went on Amazon, but yeah, so triple squares, basic tools. And so I'm gonna go over real brief how this is going to work, and then I'm going to show you on these calipers. A lot of times on brake calipers, what you can do is get a flat screwdriver in there and kind of pry on it, and it'll push the piston in. That's kind of what we're going to do. When you take the pads off of here, you're going to see the piston, and it has 3 indents on it, and it looks like one of those pistons where you have to twist it for it to recede into the cylinder so that you can put the new pads on. That's not how this works. So I'm going to show you really quick. It's a simple trick to make it go in there. But first I'm going to take this caliper off of here and take these pads off, and then I'll get it nice and tight and you can see what's going on. So let me show you real quick the process of removing this. It's straightforward, and then we'll get into the technical part. First step in the process, removing the caliper. I already removed, this is the parking brake actuator. This plugs into this unit in the back here. You just pry on this tab with a flat screwdriver. You'll hear it click, pull it back. Really straightforward. And then removing the caliper, you need, so I would put a ratchet on here, and up here I can use a ratchet. Down here, this trailing arm is right in the way of me using a ratchet. There's not a lot of clearance behind this bolt, so I'm gonna do it with just a wrench. Now, once I've done that, I should be able to pry this back just enough to free it from the brake, from the rotor. And get my big pry bar. Alright, now the next part is I have to remove this parking brake unit, and it's a T30 Torx on both sides, and so I just use that to remove it. And you don't have to worry about anything special going on here. There's no springs in there that are gonna explode on you or go flying or anything like that. It's actually pretty simple. I'll show you once I take it out what's back there. Once you remove the 2 Torx screws, this, you can just kind of wiggle it and it'll come out. And that's it. So this motor has a gear reduction drive that spins this, and this goes in the back here. Now the reason why we're removing this is to get to this drive back here. Now on the front side here, there are 3 indents, which would imply that this piston needs to be twisted in a clockwise manner to screw it in, and it would go into the cylinder. That's not how this works. what happens is on the back side here, where that parking brake actuator goes, there's a triple square fitting that goes in there, and it is, I'll tell you, M8. So it's an M8 triple square that goes right in there. You need to get a set of triple squares if you're going to work on this. There is no way around it. So we're going to use an M8. Now, when you turn this one direction, you will see the piston start protruding further out. So I'm going to turn it. So what I'm going to do is turn this, and at first it turns freely. There's no resistance. You want to do is just keep going in this direction all the way until you feel resistance, because that means that that screw has gone all the way back and it's no longer pushing on this piston, and then you can just use a pry bar and pry on the piston and it'll go back and it'll retract. So all you got to do is get on here with a triple square, and you'll know if you're going the wrong way because the piston will start coming out. And once you see it start coming out, then you just go the other way and it'll go, and you just go as far as it'll go. It'll stop eventually. Once you get to the point where it won't go anymore, what will happen is it'll stop pulling that piston back, and then the piston here will start turning. It'll start spinning around and rotating. And that's how you know that you've reached the limit of this screw in the back, and then you can just pry it back. So I'm going to keep going until it reaches the limit, and then I'll show you how it turns that piston. Okay, so now I've reached the limit. It won't go any further. Let me see. And now, if you look at that piston, when I turn it, the entire piston rotates. And see? So that is the limit of the screw. The screw is all the way retracted, and now it's turning the entire piston. So that's what you want. That's the desired effect. And then once you've done that, you can just put this in here, get a flat screwdriver in behind there, and it'll pry back like so. And if at first it doesn't pry back enough, then rotate it a little more. And you can actually rotate the piston while you pry back on it, if you wanted to do both of them, and that would expedite the process a little bit. And see, now see, now the piston is all the way retracted, and now I can put my new brake pads on here. But before I do that, I'm going to take off these shims. These pads came with the wrong shims. The shims are for a wider disc. It might be vented disc, I don't know. But the shims that came with this set of brake pads are way too wide. The ones that are on here, I'm going to reuse. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to pry them off, and then take a wire brush and just clean them up really good, clean all that brake dust that's on there. And then once I do that, then I can put everything back together. But yeah, that's the process. So, you know, if you don't know what's going on, you'd probably just be turning and turning the piston and wondering why it won't retract. And that's because you have to get in here where the parking brake actuator is and rotate that screw so that it's not pushing the piston out, because if that screw is pushing on the piston, it's never going anywhere. So let me put all this back together, and that'll be it.